Hello again. My name is Mike. I am a chaplain with Trinity of Christ Ministries. I'm also a certified relationship coach specializing in intimacy and infidelity. And today we're going to be talking about why women fall for affairs. Now, I promise I'm not just picking on you ladies out there. I will be doing one for the men also. Uh, but I wanted to talk about women being involved in affairs today for different reasons. And one of those reasons are that women are very much more emotional creatures than men. And it's not because of they're bad or anything like that. It's we're wired different. God created us different. We're wired different, and those things are very uh, common in in you know, in relationships. We have men who tend to be, you know, much more, physical than emotional. And I guess that's because, we're trained to be hunters and things like that. Um, I guess it serves us well for each species, for each, well, I should say each, gender. Um, But we talk about the four steps that how affairs happen. And they almost always follow these four steps without question. And the first step is friendly. This is where uh, it's just friendly. It's nothing more. It's nothing wrong with it. It's not intended to be anything more. It's intended to be friendly, and that's exactly what it is. It's how was your day? Did you catch the game last night? I noticed you bought a new car, things like that. It's just friendly banter. There's nothing wrong with that. The second part is personal. So you go from friendly to personal. And personal gets to where you're divulging just a little personal information. You know, um, my husband made me so angry yesterday because I asked him to check the mail and he didn't, things like that. Um, from that step, the next one is emotional. This is where you really start getting into dangerous territory. You start sharing intimate details about your relationship, about your marriage. You share, um, you know, things maybe about your sex life, things about uh, how your husband, didn't do what you thought he would do for your anniversary, or how he makes you feel, when he talks to his ex-wife about the children or something like that. You're sharing emotional, intimate details that you normally wouldn't share with a coworker or, just a friend. Um, and you're not necessarily intended to be anything other than just a way to vent. The problem is that the man most of the time picks up on this as a signal that you're kind of opening a door for him to be the hero to come in and say, I understand. That's horrible. I can't believe your husband would do that. He doesn't respect you or whatever, he will say to validate your feelings. This is where all this goes. Once this becomes emotional in this way, it quickly develops into an emotional affair. Even though it may not be physical at this point, it will eventually. Um, this is where you find yourself constantly wanting to talk to this person, texting them outside of, normal like work hours or whatever that you would normally talk to somebody. You're up at 12:30 at night with your husband asleep beside of you, texting this other man because he gets you. Um, yeah, this is an emotional affair. You can lie to yourself and say it's not. It absolutely is. Um, the fourth one is physical. Emotional affairs, if they last long enough, they will turn physical. Nobody is in an affair with somebody that's strictly platonic forever. It's not going to happen. A man is, let's be blunt, a man is never going to stay in an emotional affair with a woman that he can never, be with physically. Um, so, how do women get sucked into this? How do women, especially when they're dealing with a married man? Because lots of times when people cheat, they're cheating with somebody who's also married. The man is married and the woman is married. So, how do we get the women to go along with this? Let's be honest, most women have morals. Most women, if you asked a regular woman and say, hey, would you ever, start a relationship with a married man? Well, most women want to say, well, no, absolutely not. He's married. That would be wrong. Yet they find themselves in this situation constantly. And so let's look at the reason why. It really comes down to one big thing. There's lots of little things, but the biggest factor of how women get sucked into this is pretty easy. We call it, or at least I do, and I've heard other coaches and counselors call it the same thing. We call it the speech. And the speech is when the man comes to the woman and tells the woman uh, all the bad things in his life. We're at the emotional affair level now. And it hasn't gone physical. The woman is still a little apprehensive because she knows that he's married. She knows it's wrong. She knows that she's married. And so she's very apprehensive. So what this man's job is to throw the bait in the water and see if he can get her to bite. And how he does that is very simple. At first, he will give this speech to where it may be broken up into different speeches, but it's all part of one speech. And this speech consists of um, he will tell the woman how bad his wife is. Uh, a big one you'll hear all the time is she doesn't ever, want to be intimate. She turns me down every time. Uh, you know, uh, you might hear she doesn't want kids. I've always wanted kids, but she doesn't want any. You might hear, about how she yells at him, about maybe she curses at him and calls him names. Um, Whatever it takes to convince you of how bad a person and a wife that she is. So as he does this in your mind, you will start believing everything he says without question. You will start believing this. And here's where the moment comes. Once he gets you to think in your mind that, I can't believe she treats him that way. He's such a great guy. It is just so terrible that she treats him that way. Once he can get you to believe that, once you say that to yourself and you're thinking this in your mind, the shoe just dropped. He's got you. And he knows it. He knows it. And this is a trick commonly used by men who want to hook up with a woman, well, if she's married, and sometimes even if she's not, because he has to justify why he is interested in you when he's married. And this is how he justifies it. He will tell you how awful his wife is, how bad he's treated, and he will convince you to say, "Oh, I just can't believe she treats him that way. That's just so terrible. He's such a nice guy." And he when he convinces you of this, game over. Game over because you will cheat. You will cheat with a married man because he has convinced you that he's Mr. Wonderful. His wife is a terrible wife and a horrible person, and you want to rescue him. You think that this is now your mission. That I just have to get him out of that terrible marriage. That it's just horrible, and because he's not going to tell you the truth. Because the truth is he wants to hook up, and he can't tell you, hey, my wife is a wonderful woman. She treats me great. She's a great mother. She, always has dinner ready. We have intimacy on a regular basis. You know, but I'd really like to sleep with you on the side. He's not going to tell you that. That's the way it is, but he's not going to tell you that. He's going to tell you how terrible his life is and his wife is and how she mistreats him all the time. So this is known as the speech, and it works. It works. That's why they do it, because it does work. And you, as a woman, being an emotional creature by habit and by design, are very likely to fall for this. It's very easy to fall for, especially if there's a physical attraction anyway. If you already think this guy's good looking, and then you hear all how awful he's being treated, and it's someone you've come to know over a period of time, it's very easy for you to fall for this line. And that's what it is. It's a line because he's telling you these things to get you to feel sorry for him so you won't have any problem with cheating with a married man. And sadly, lots of women fall for this. It's very common. So the reason that they fall for this is sometimes they have some problems in their own marriage. So this is a justification. We have what's called the 90-10 rule in counseling and coaching, where 90% of a woman's marriage, is good, but 10% of it is bad, or maybe not bad, but unsatisfying. Maybe 10% of her needs aren't being met, but 90% are. And some women will justify it in their mind that because of this 10% that's bad, they need 100%. So they'll ignore the 90% that's good in the marriage and absolutely destroy their marriage for the 10% that they believe that they need. So when you hear a man come to you and give you this speech about how awful his wife is and how terrible she treats him, ask yourself one question. Why is he still there? Why is he still there? And let me go ahead and give you the excuse. It'll be financially, don't want to lose half of everything or most of my stuff in a divorce. Or, and the most popular excuse, because of the kids. Oh, we got kids. I don't want to destroy the kids' life. Okay, well, ask yourself this question. If he's worried about his financial situation and losing half of his things, or he's worried about his children's lives being destroyed because he leaves, then why isn't he worried about losing half his things or his kids' life being destroyed when the affair with you is exposed? And it will be. It's just a matter of time. And when it is, he stands to lose the same thing. So ask yourself, why, if he's willing to sleep with me and risk all this and cheat with me, then why hasn't he already left? He's still risking it with me anyway. So this is exactly what it sounds like. It's an excuse. Because in all honesty, he probably doesn't want to leave his wife and family. He's looking for some fun on the side and he's hoping that you're stupid enough to believe it. So that person will be you. And so when you get this speech, you really need to question what you're actually hearing and what kind of relationship do you believe you're going to have with this person. If you agree to this relationship and you agree to that you're going to start a relationship with this person and possibly cheat on your husband and he's cheating on his wife, what kind of a relationship do you think this is going to be? Do you have these grand illusions in your mind that he's going to leave his wife and just come and be with you because she is so terrible and he's so unhappy and now he's happy with you because you can give him what his wife didn't? That's almost never the case. Almost never. You are a project. That's exactly what you are. You're a project. He's going to use you as a test drive. You're going to be the toy that he takes out of the closet to play with whenever he's got time. And when he gets done playing with you, he's going to put you back in the closet until the next time he decides to pull you out and play with you again. This is the hard truth. This is the truth that a lot of women who get involved in cheating do not want to admit. And it's a truth that they need to hear because men will definitely manipulate your emotions to get what they want. I'm a man. I know. I've seen this game played many times over, and it is a game. They can't tell you the truth because if they told you the truth, you would never agree to it. If a man came up and said, "Hey, you're really pretty. Would you mind sleeping with me on the side? Yes, I'm married, but, you know, I'd really like to sleep with you on the side. Is that okay? Would you agree to that?" Well, probably not because you have morals. But in reality, this is exactly what he's tricking you into doing. And you are justifying this in your mind because you believe his wife is so awful and that he is telling you all this. But remember this, there's two sides to every story. What would his wife tell you? Remember that. What would she say about him if you talked to him, if you talked to her? So would she tell you that she's this awful person? If you had a video camera set up in his house, would you see all these awful things he claims that his wife does to him? The answer to that, I think you already know. So keep in mind what you're hearing and who it's coming from and the reason you're hearing this. I'm Chaplain Mike with Trinity of Christ Ministries. I hope this helps some of you figure out how men operate and what might be happening to you. You can follow us on Facebook and find us at trinityofchrist.org for lots more content. I hope this helps. God bless you. I'll see you next time.